Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester, the host of the Beliefcast. I am honored to welcome back my really good friend, Dave Durocher from the Other Side Academy. Dave, as always, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Todd. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, you're one of my favorite people on this planet, and I'm just grateful that you've taken some time out of your busy schedule. Your story is one of radical transformation. You spent decades caught up in addiction and crime before discovering the power of accountability, discipline, and community. Through the Other Side Academy, he's now helping countless men and women break free from destructive cycles, and build lives of integrity, service, and purpose. You embody what it means to be fully recovered, and you use the past to fuel the change for the future. You're a man of integrity. You're a man of honor. And again, I'm just grateful I get to rub shoulders with you from time to time and consider you a really good, dear friend.
Oh, thank you, Todd. I feel the same way.
Thank you so much. Well, let's get right to it. You've shared on this podcast, I think we were just talking about, this is the third or fourth time you've been on my show. And every time you're on, man, we just talk about some amazing stuff. Looking back on your journey, I mean, look where you're at today compared to where you were, 20-something years ago. This is a big question because I know there's probably many pivotal points, but is there a single pivotal point you look back on and go, man, that's when things started to change for me?
I guess it depends on, was it during my addiction? Was it once I was arrested? Was it at Delancey Street when I was going through the change process? I think there's probably a number of them.
Yeah. But
I'll never forget the high-speed chase. I used to think that was the worst day of my life. I mean, you can imagine I'm doing drugs, I'm selling drugs, and I'm getting ready to leave the house. Right. And, I'd always said I wasn't going to stop. You know what I mean? They're going to have to take me out this time. And I took the police on a high-speed chase, knowing it wasn't going to end well, but not knowing exactly how it was going to end. Yeah. But, when it ended in the pit maneuver and they beat me senseless at the end of that arrest and I go to jail and I'm looking at essentially what would have been the rest of my life. I used to look back on that day and I was so mad at the girl who told on me, right? She ratted me out. And every time I've gone to prison, it's because someone told on me. But now that I've grown up a little bit and matured some, no one ever really told on me. They saved my life, right? In letting the police know who I was, where I was, and what I was doing. Because each arrest, if not for those arrests, I don't know that I'd be here today. But that particular arrest that ended the way that it did kind of rocked my world. That was a pretty rough arrest at the end of that. And I tried to get the cops to take my life, and thankfully they didn't, right? I failed miserably there too. Yeah. But that was my life up until that point.
Thankfully, right?
But as I sat in jail and I was facing a lot of time, before I was able to go to Delancey Street, I was calling home, to mommy and daddy a lot, you know what I mean? And they'd take my collect call, and my dad finally had enough, right? And I could hear when my mom would take the call, him screaming at her to hang the phone up.
Really?
And I can't use the language he used on that call right now on this podcast, but you could imagine it started with an F, and hang the damn phone up, Donna, we're done, blah, blah,
Yeah.
And I went back to my cell and I thought, wow, not only have I lost my freedom and all the little things that I had at that time, which wasn't a lot of stuff, but I had lost my family. And it's not that I had lost them. I gave them up a long time ago.
Yeah.
And what I think a lot of people don't realize is I didn't really lose anything that I wasn't giving away with the choices I was making in my life. And I think when you get to a place of radical accountability, if you get to a place where you really own everything bad that ever happened in your life and everything good that happened in your life, it's so liberating to go, I didn't lose anything. I gave it away.
Wow.
Literally, right? So when my dad was talking to my mom like that, I realized that I had lost my family also, that they had finally had enough. And that was a pivotal moment to sit in my cell and, and cry a silent tear and think, wow, they're not even taking my call anymore. I have nothing.
Nothing.
This is it. I have a cell. And I have to look forward to this long prison sentence that I'm about to embark on in the state of California, right?
Yeah.
Which would have been 20-something years. I would have went to a 4-yard. And I already knew how that was going to play out. And for those who don't know, a 4-yard's just, where lifers are at. And they don't care. It's just high school with knives on steroids in the state of California.
Jeez. Yeah.
So that was a pivotal point. I think getting to Delancey Street and getting the opportunity to go, right, was a pivotal point. I had no idea what change looked like. When I wrote Delancey Street, I think I asked and said I needed to change, but what I really wanted to change was my address from the county jail
Sure.
to the address at Delancey Street. I didn't know what change looked like.
Yeah.
But, when I got there and I saw people that I had known for a long time that I hadn't seen in years, thinking they were either in prison or dead, and I'm thinking, wow, Todd, how long you been here? 4 years?
Yeah.
It's a 2-year program. What are you doing here for 4
Yeah,
years?
right.
And realizing that change takes time. I learned so much there. So there were some pivotal moments in Delancey Street that really anchored me, and that was just one of them.
I've heard your story a lot, and it's an amazing story of overcoming some really tough situations. I love how you just have learned the power of accountability. You talk about that a lot. I often wonder, though, I want to ask you that, that moment even when, your dad's yelling at your mom, hang up the effing phone and we're not talking anymore, we're done. You said you cried this silent tear. Did you ever have a moment while you're in that cell just going, I'm done? I want out of life. I mean, I'm just, for lack of a better way of saying it, you just wanted to end yourself. Did you ever get to that point? Or was there still this fight in you like, I'm going to figure something out?
Yeah, I've never wanted to die, Todd.
Okay.
If you're, for those who are listening to the podcast or watching, it's not like I didn't live my life as though I wanted to die. But I never wanted to take my own life. The only time I ever wanted to take my own life was in that high-speed chase, because I didn't want to get arrested and go back to prison for the rest of my life. So I was trying to commit suicide by cop, right? But other than that, I've never attempted a suicide, nor did I not want to die. I've always been full of life. I just didn't know how to live it, if that makes sense.
It does.
So when I was in my cell and fighting those cases, even when I got my 10-year prison sentence, I remember being in court. I had my shoulders back, right? I was almost like proud to get the 10 years. I'm going to go back to prison on my 4th term. I'm going to go continue to make a name for myself. I'm going to get some more tattoos, and I'm going to earn them, and I'm going to be that guy. I was always full of life for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons. Yeah.
So I never wanted to truly die at any point in my life, although I should have at many points in my life.
Right. Yeah, I often wondered that because, again, your story it's a tough one. I try to put myself in your shoes and how I would, I don't think I would have survived it. But I want to talk about accountability. I know at the Other Side Academy, you have this principle you guys live by, 200% accountability. Will you tell our listeners what that means, and then talk a little bit more about why accountability is kind of like the key to breaking free from this horrible, destructive life you were living?
I think, especially as it relates to drug addiction and the criminal lifestyle, we don't put enough emphasis on accountability. We put more emphasis on trauma. And I'm not saying trauma isn't real. It's real. It exists.
Yeah.
But we don't put enough emphasis on accountability. What I mean by that is there is no trauma that makes somebody use. There's bad things that happen to us. We get molested. We get beat up by the cops. You get physically or maybe verbally abused by a family member, or there's a lot of stuff that happens that can be seen as trauma.
Yeah.
But nothing at the end of that trauma, when I got beat up, did the cop put a needle in my neck and go, here, get high. It's part and parcel for what's going on.
Yeah.
We feel a certain way, and then we choose to get high to numb it. Ultimately, it is a damn choice.
Yeah.
There is no such trauma that forces somebody to use. Trauma makes us feel a certain way, really uncomfortable, crawling out of our own skin, depressed, anxious, whatever it is. Ultimately, we get to choose, because there's far more people with trauma that don't use than those that have trauma that do.
Yeah.
Accountability to me is owning how I'm feeling. Owning how I'm feeling, having enough self-awareness to understand how I feel, and then being able to talk it out, not act it out. If we do not learn how to talk it out, we're going to act it out, inevitably. So I think accountability is just so important, and we've gotten away from it,
Yeah.
right? And then we wonder why we can't solve societal ills.
Yeah.
Because we don't focus enough on accountability, and we focus more on making excuses for why people behave the way they do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there aren't reasons why people feel the way they do,
Yeah.
but ultimately everybody gets to decide what to do in that feeling.
Yeah.
But when we take that accountability out of there, then it's just, oh gosh, he has trauma. Oh gosh, they have trauma. That's the reason why. And maybe it's a contributing factor,
Right.
but it didn't make me use. I chose to.
Yeah.
When I finally got to a point in my life where I got to choose, no matter how I felt, what I was going to do, I had gotten someplace. I'll share a story with you,
Yeah,
right?
please.
I know a gentleman. He's a good friend of mine. Tommy Parker. It's Tomy, right? I think I've probably shared this with you before.
Yeah.
I will never forget this. He was in the military. He was in Iraq.
Okay.
And he stepped on an IED. And what he remembers is landing, right, and coming to, right?
Oh.
His ears were ringing as he tells the story, and his brothers that were there with him said he was about 20 or 25 feet in the air when he finally came down. And he says, I remember parts of it, looking down and knowing something really bad had happened. Right? I mean, he stepped on an IED, blew his legs off. So today he's in a wheelchair.
Wow.
He's one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met. And I have him come speak, like you do at the Other Side
Yeah.
Academy,
Yeah.
every 2 years or so.
Sure.
And he goes, Dave, this is, I went through countless surgeries. He's half a man, has no legs. He's in a wheelchair, but he's a bigger presence than you could ever imagine today. But he came back to the United States. They built him a home. So I don't remember the name of the nonprofit, and he started to feel sorry for himself. Well, rightly so. Who
Yeah.
wouldn't?
Right.
And
yeah.
he got into drugs, right? And then he started selling drugs. He was living in Montana, and then he started getting arrested, and he got arrested a whole bunch of times. And finally, the judge said, "Mr. Parker, we're done. I find you in my courtroom again. I am sending you to prison for a long time. Go get your shit together and get the help that you need."
Yeah.
And Tommy did. He's been clean now for years. But he said, it wasn't till I got to this point. He said, I used to blame our president, the United States, the military, Iraq, the bomb. It wasn't till I got to a place where I said, I joined the military. I joined that branch.
Yeah.
I asked to be in that infantry. I took the step that blew my legs off. It was my job to find the IED, just not like that.
Yeah.
He said, when I took full accountability for all the choices I made in my life, I could change it. And I so believe wholeheartedly in that mentality,
Wow.
that belief system,
Yep.
that everything bad that ever happened to me is my fault. Everything good that's ever happened to me is my fault. And what I mean by that is, that doesn't mean having you as my friend. That's a good thing in my life.
Right.
But it's my fault that I put myself in a position to meet you someday, right? To be sitting
Yeah.
here with you today is because the
Yeah.
way I live my life and the way you
Yeah.
live your life. And I choose to be in your life. But you
Yeah.
wouldn't have me in your life if I wasn't making good choices, and vice versa.
Yes.
Everything good and everything bad that happens in my life is because of the choices I make in it.
Yeah.
If we asked everybody to live like that, the world would be a better place. But we don't.
100%. We don't.
We go, oh my gosh, he did this and it's not his fault, and they did this and it's not their fault. Well, yeah, it is. We all
Yeah.
get to make choices in our lives.
Yeah.
And we're trying to solve some really, really difficult issues in our community, but I don't believe we're addressing them the way they need to be addressed.
Properly. Yeah.
And we wonder why drug addiction, homelessness, and criminal behavior is getting worse, not better, in spite of
Yeah.
the billions and billions of dollars of resources we're pouring into it.
Billions.
Why is it getting worse? I don't think we're looking at the model. I don't think we're looking at the way we address the issues. I think both are true at times, but ultimately I think the most profound, most meaningful, the most impactful thing we can do is teach the human being to be accountable to the choices they make, regardless of the reasons why they make them. I think we can
Wow.
move mountains.
I love that. Do you get a lot of pushback when you're out talking like this with the groups you're with?
I have some very crucial conversations with people, right? And I love
Yeah.
those conversations
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I like to engage in those dialogues, right? But again, ultimately, I know for me and my experience, it was accountability that got me to a better place. It wasn't the treatment model that got me to a better place. It was living in a community that held me
Yeah.
accountable, a community of my peers that didn't put up with my, can I say, BS.
Say whatever you want.
They didn't put up with my BS. They called me on my behavior. They told me the truth about Dave Durocher the day he got to Delancey Street. They told me what a lying, cheating, thieving, manipulating, gun-running, drug-dealing, out-of-control, high-speed chase with a helicoptering, putting public at risk, risking their lives, what kind of human being I was at that moment. And they were right. And for the first time in my life, someone told me the truth, unvarnished.
Yeah, right.
It's not like they were trying to hurt my feelings. They were trying to save my life.
Yeah.
We spend so much damn time today more concerned with how people feel than in helping them. We wonder why people are dying.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's just that's my opinion. And it's founded in years and years of anecdotal evidence.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Years of being in Delancey Street and managing the LA facility for the last 5 of the 8 years that I was there, 10 years now at the Other Side Academy. Friends with everybody in the treatment community, whether they feel the same way or not it depends on the conversation, right? But
right.
I think even if we have disagreements on the model, I think we agree on the problem.
Yes.
Right? So this is what I believe works better than anything else. Not that the anything else doesn't have a place. It does. But I think with our population, the population that's been arrested like mine well over 25 times, the accountability piece of all I did, if my students came to the Other Side Academy, long-term drug addict with the average arrest of 25.6 times, and all we did was try to get you clean and sober, we'd kill them all.
Yep.
Because we're not addressing, because even when they come to the Other Side Academy, they're sneaky, they're manipulative, they're stealing socks out of laundry, they're passing notes to the women, they're there for a year, and they're still doing all kinds of crazy stuff while clean and sober. So getting them clean and sober isn't solving the problem.
Right.
Getting people clean and sober in and of itself seldom solves the problem. It simply exposes it.
Exposes it. Yeah.
And if we don't address the parts we expose, the character flaws in the person, they're inevitably going to go back over and over and over again. Conversely, if we take that person and we give them a community that they get to live in as long as they need to, and everything they do, good or bad, gets called out, particularly the bad behaviors. Right. And we address those behaviors and show you a better way. And if you leave 2, 3, or 4 years later and you've learned to tell the truth, and you've learned to be accountable, and you've learned to show up, and you've learned to be honest, you're going to solve the drug problem and not even address it. Again, my opinion founded in years of experience.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with you 100%. I look at my own life, I didn't go to jail or prison or anything like
it's
that.
It's never too late, Todd.
Yeah.
I can help you with that.
I know. Will you hold me accountable? Because I need it. I just look at my own life and overcoming drug addiction and the things I was doing. I mean, I wasn't in prison or jail, but I was doing criminal stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't until I had a mentor of mine that told me about the power of accountability and basically woke me up to that, saying, if you do not do this, you're going to stay stuck the rest of your life. And it was one of those pivotal moments for me. When I heard him say that, I was like, oh yeah, so it's on me. This is all on me. Yeah. And it was one of those moments where I went, oh, I'm now seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
And one of the things I teach, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. When we do the opposite of accountability, which is blaming and pointing the fingers, playing the victim, our suffering is magnified. When we take accountability, our suffering is lessened and eventually stops. What do you think of that?
I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
When we don't take accountability for our lives, right? And again, I think it's important. That doesn't mean there aren't contributing factors within our life that cause us to feel a certain way to make those decisions.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the decisions we made, right, were the wrong ones, regardless of how we feel. That accountability piece, the reason why it's so difficult is because accountability is really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That means we have to sit and listen to someone tell us what they see in us.
Yeah.
And that might be a little uncomfortable, but I would rather sit in that discomfort of someone telling me the truth about how they see me than having a needle in my arm and going to prison for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I would rather learn to be humble enough to listen to other people's feedback, whether I agree with it or not, whether it resonates or whether it doesn't, whether I completely disagree, but I can still sit in the heat. When you can do that, you become emotionally mature. When you become emotionally mature, you're more apt to look at your life in a more honest way and own those choices. It's fascinating. Yesterday, I was at the Grand America Hotel with Joseph, our chairman of the board,
Nice.
and some other students, and we did a presentation to 700 people in the medical field. These are CEOs, COOs, hospital executives, and we were teaching them the importance of accountability. Think about it in a hospital setting.
Oh, yeah.
Doctor's not washing his hands anymore, going from patient to patient. And they can't figure out why infections in the hospital are so high. But the people underneath the surgeons don't want to say anything because there's a pecking order.
Yes.
Let's look at law enforcement. It's the same thing. So we train corporate America. We've helped train police departments because accountability is a lost art, right? It's also a learned behavior, right? And the more accountable you are, this is important. The more accountable you are, the less apt you are to make poor choices in your life. Because it's easier to make healthy choices and not have to be accountable than to make poor choices and have to be accountable.
Yeah.
So people always say, gosh, Dave, you are so hard on yourself. Because I always say, prior to Delancey Street, I was a liar and a thief and a cheat. And I go, no, I'm not hard on myself. They go, yeah, you are, Dave. You made some mistakes. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't make mistakes. If I'm driving down the street and you and I are in a car and I blow the light, I've shared this analogy with you before, and I'm not paying attention, that's a mistake. But when I make a decision to sell drugs, that's a conscious decision. When I make a decision to go on a high-speed chase, that's a conscious decision.
Yes.
When I make a decision to sell guns and move them on a large scale, that's a decision. Those aren't mistakes.
Right.
Those are conscious decisions to do the wrong thing, knowing what the consequences are. So when we start taking accountability for the choices and we can separate mistake from conscious decision, we can move mountains.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Dang, that's so powerful. Accountability, man. It's amazing how that is so liberating, right? I find it in my own life, even today. I'm 57 years old, and I'll find myself, like if I want another sponsor for my podcast, as an example, I had this recently. It's like, I'm waiting for it to just fall into my lap, and they're like, where is it? Why am I not getting one? It's like, well, dude, go do something, Todd. Go make it happen.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a small little thing, but it's those little things that it helps me. Like, even to this day, I'm like, oh, I'm accountable for that. No one else is going to do that for me. Go make that happen, kind of thing.
Right.
And so, anyway, accountability, what a gift.
It is.
200% accountability at the other side means I'm accountable for myself, and I'm also accountable for Dave.
Yeah.
Right?
What that means is it's one of our beliefs, 200% accountability. It means that as a student or even a staff member, I'm 100% accountable for me. If I do something wrong, I need to let somebody know and be accountable for my own actions. I'm also accountable for yours. I'm not accountable for your actions, but if I see you do something and I don't say something, then am I hurting you or am I helping you? I'm hurting you. So I'm 100% accountable for my actions, and I'm 100% accountable to call out yours if I see them.
Yeah.
And when you learn to do that, you build a backbone.
Yeah.
You learn to have a voice. And when you do that repeatedly, what the message behind that, the messaging in that is everybody knows where Dave stands. They know where I stand. It's not like people are going to walk in my office and go, hey, Dave, want to get high? Try that and see what happens.
Try it, yeah.
You're going to, the verbal reprimands you will get for even asking that kind of a question, you're going to cower when I'm done with you, right?
Yeah.
And that's not being mean. I mean, let's think about it for a second. That's having a voice. That's having a backbone. That's setting boundaries, and people know where I stand.
Yeah.
And for those who believe in Jesus Christ, there's this confusion all the time. Jesus Christ wasn't kind. He was good.
Yeah.
He wasn't, what I mean by he wasn't kind, it didn't go around and just, fluffy and just, he was good. He loved people enough to live with the sinners, but call them on their shit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Literally, daily. And then he died for our sins. He died calling people out.
Yeah.
He died calling out what he believed to be true. Jesus Christ was good. I think we spend so much time in this country going, oh gosh, we all got to be kind. Well, look at the death rate when that happens.
Yeah.
We all need to be good.
Yeah.
And when you're good, that means you care about people. If you care about people, that means you'll tell them the truth.
Ooh. Wow. Say that one more time.
When you're kind, people will die. When you're good, that means you care about people enough to tell them the truth.
Dang. That is so powerful. I have, and I'm going to grab my phone here, a picture of a frame, some words that you have in your office. And I think I saved it here. One sec. If I can't find it, then I'll have to reference it later. But it's a powerful message that you live by, right? And it was given to you by a mutual friend of ours.
It was, yeah.
And I apologize, guys. Here, I should have had it cued, but man, it is.
Take your time. It's in there. I know you took a picture of it.
I know I did, and I moved it to my front because I was like, I love this thing so much. If I can find it. Anyway, man, I can't find it now. Shoot.
The essence of it is,
yeah, please.
if we keep babying people and enabling people,
yeah,
ultimately we're going to bury them.
I'm going to bury them.
And a lot of people disagree with that. They think you can love people into wellness. Well, if you love people, that means you care enough about them to tell them the truth about how they're behaving.
Yep.
And tell them the truth about the negative impact of the choices they're making. I think that one of the issues we have right now is, especially in this country, the narrative is, oh gosh, you can't say that. That's going to make them feel shame. Well, after 27 years of hardcore drug addiction and having 3 kids I didn't raise, and taking the cops on a high-speed chase and risking people's lives and selling drugs that could have killed people and running guns that ultimately were used in the commission of crimes, if people were afraid to tell me the truth out of me feeling shame, shouldn't I have felt some shame?
Yeah.
There's a difference between feeling shame for the way I behaved, right? There's healthy shame and unhealthy shame. I needed that stuff pointed out to me for me to go to my pillow and go, oof, wow, that hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
I need to make some changes. I don't want to be that person anymore. It's never been put quite like that, right, when I took it to my pillow.
Yeah.
They're right. That's who I was.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person anymore.
Yeah.
I needed to feel a little shame over the choices I make. Shame can be very healthy. It can be a foundation and a starting point for change.
For sure.
But if I never felt shame for how I lived, would I be here right now? I don't believe that to be true.
Yeah.
I needed to, and I needed people that cared enough about me to tell me the truth.
Yeah. I love that. Love that so much. And, and you're so good at it. And that's your message today. You go around, you speak. You're going to be speaking to our clients here shortly. And you've been here, 24 times, if not more, to speak to our clients. And without fail, they all walk away with, I needed that. I'm not kidding you. Like, it is, it's interesting. We feel like sometimes we're having a hard time getting through to them. We bring you in, everyone's an expert except the outsider, or other than the outsider. We bring you in, and man, they listen, and you say some really tough things to them.
Yeah.
But without fail, they'll often say, that's exactly what I needed to hear.
Well, I think what happens is, if you think back to when we were being raised, and your parents, you're always telling you stuff. And after a while it goes in one ear and out the other, one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
We hear it, but we don't apply it. And then the uncle or the grandparent or somebody else comes in and says the exact same thing in a different tone, in a different voice, and you hear it for the first time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think
totally.
that is what happens. Because even at my facility, I can talk to the students. And, yesterday morning I did a big presentation to the students. This morning I did about some issues going on, right? And then Todd can come in on a Wednesday night and give a TOSA talk, and they'll hear what you said and go, oh yeah, Dave says that too, but not like the way Todd did.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it takes all of us
to
do it, because they're going to hear it differently from you than they are from me. Your residents are going to hear it differently from me than they are from you.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important that we continue to work together and we deliver these messages in a different tone and a different voice with a different face attached to it. It's critical.
Yeah. You were married not too long ago.
Yeah.
And great wedding, a great experience. I was lucky enough to be there, and I'm so grateful that you invited me. One of the best talks I ever heard was at your wedding from Joseph. And he talked about, choice and grace and how those all play a factor in all our lives. And he brought up a story of where about a dog named Baxter. Do I remember that right?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing just with our listeners the experience and what that taught you?
God, I was such a shit stick, Todd. I was such an immature, emotionally infantile piece of cow dung when I got to Delancey Street. And I'm not being hard on myself. I'm being honest.
Yeah. Because nothing had changed. You just got there. You were the same person.
You know, I
did a
2-year prison term, a 5-year prison term, a 6-year prison term, a 10-year prison term. Then I was looking at 22 years because of that high-speed chase with the helicopter and all the drugs and weapons. Yeah. So, you know, when I finally got to go to Delancey Street, the judge finally let me go. You know, there's a long story to that. He acquiesced and he suspended a 22-year prison sentence over my head. So I get to Delancey Street. I'm on maintenance. The first couple of months, you're just kind of wiping tables, doing laundry, right? And I felt like I was above that stuff already, right? Because the way I'd lived my life in prison and, right? So, and then I wanted to go to the moving company, Delancey Street, or construction, and they put me in landscaping in the backyard of this hotel that was our facility. Now, remember, I'm not in jail anymore, but I didn't see it like that then.
Yeah.
So I'm in this backyard. And I have this little grassy area that I'm responsible for. And I've got to mow the grass and pull the weeds and rake the leaves. And I hated landscaping. I was traumatized by landscaping because my dad used to make me do mow the lawn with a push lawnmower. Anyway, I hated it.
Right.
I could, if there was one place in Delancey I did want to go, it was landscaping.
It was
How did they know that?
Yeah, right.
So anyway, I go to landscaping. And Jimmy Jones, who was running the facility at the time, had this dog named Baxter. And in the morning, after morning meeting, I'd go to work. I got the shovel in my hand. I'm raking leaves. And Jimmy would walk out on the veranda to have a cigarette. And he'd send the dog down there to poop right where I was working. I wanted to drop kick that dog onto the 101. It's almost like the dog was looking at me laughing. And shit right there, right? Yeah. And I'd have to pick that dog poop up, right? And it's like Jimmy was up there just laughing. I wanted to run up those stairs with that shovel and just annihilate him. Right? With that shovel. That was my thinking.
Yeah.
That's what an immature child I was at that time. Right? What am I tripping on? So I got to pick up dog poop and throw it in the trash can with a shovel. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I should be in prison for the rest of my life. And I was so ungrateful that I let that bother me.
Yeah.
It took a long time before I finally got to a point where it was like, so what? And then not long after that, Zach went to the park and they took the dog. And the dog got out of the van. The dog took off running across the park chasing a cat. And it hit the main street and it got hit by a car.
Oh, no.
And it killed the dog. And when I heard the news, I was happy. It took a while for me to realize just who I was in that moment. As if it was the dog's fault. It wasn't the dog's fault.
Yeah.
The dog was going down there to poop regardless of who was working.
Yeah.
The dog was going down there to poop because that's where the dog had pooped for years before I had gotten there.
Yeah.
That's where the dog went.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with me. But I was such a self-centered, self-seeking, egotistical animal at that time that I took that shit personal. And then when the dog got hit by a car, I was happy. That's the monster I'd become.
Yeah.
That's when I talk about accountability. I can go back and own that shit today. I can own what a monster I was. And I wish everybody could analyze their life enough to go, yeah, maybe not everybody was a monster, but man,
but I know what you mean.
Have I been a selfish bastard my whole life? Man, have I been a cheating, manipulating boyfriend or husband to my significant other? Man, have I been a horrible father to my kids, always going to the bars or doing this or that over. I wish people could just take a look at their life and be honest about it and own who the hell they've been. Because you cannot become a better version of yourself if you can't own the version that needs to change.
Wow.
How can we become a better version if we can't own the version that needs to change? Because if you can't own the version that needs to change, then what is there to, then you don't need to change anything because you're perfect already.
Yeah, everything's great. Wow.
So to look back on that, there was so many lessons. So Baxter was the name of the dog.
Baxter.
And that dog, rest in peace, Baxter, did more for me at Delancey Street than many of the people. The lessons I took from those experiences, I didn't see it then like I do now.
Well, it's interesting. You got emotional when you talked about the way you reacted when the dog got hit. How long after that did you finally go, man, what am I doing? Why am I this way?
Yeah.
Was it years after that, or was it like shortly after that where things started like, hey, I got to make a shift here because this is not.
Yeah. I think Baxter was hit I was there for probably, I'd say 15 or 16 months when Baxter got hit. And that was right about the time that they took me out of landscaping and put me in another department.
Okay.
So I had earned my way out. And what ended up happening, I can't even tell you, I just finally, I used to hate going to work. I just despised, I didn't want to go down there and weed and I was above that, right?
Yeah.
I should be in a cell, remember? I should
Right.
be in prison for the rest of my life. I wasn't above anything. That was just my
Yeah.
sick thinking. About a year and a half into my stay, I started to grow up and I started to really like being there. And I started to realize how bad I needed to be there and what I was learning about myself,
Yeah.
right? And I realized then that that had nothing to do with Baxter. The revelations just kind of came on their own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to grow up emotionally. And that's why I talk a lot about trauma, right? And, you know, when is it trauma? When is it the excuse? And EQ. I think we don't focus enough on emotional quotient. I don't think we focus enough on emotional maturity. So many drug addicts, in spite of the fact that they have the trauma in their background, we focus so much on that we don't want to focus on what's ailing them right now.
Yeah.
Their emotional immaturity.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make it in the real world. 40 years old chronologically, living like a 14-year-old.
Exactly.
40 years old chronologically with the emotional base of a 12-year-old. You're not going to make it.
Yes.
You're going to make emotional decisions that are going to lead you back to drugs and alcohol every single time.
Yeah. Wow.
But when your emotional age can catch up to your chronological age and you can really own the way you feel and how to get to a better place, you can solve many of life's problems.
Wow. And I would say accountability is what leads you to that.
It's everything.
It's everything.
But it's so uncomfortable
It is.
that nobody wants to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hold others accountable.
Yeah.
Because that can be uncomfortable too. Everybody wants to be liked.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care if I'm liked.
Yeah.
I know who I am today. I know what I bring to the table. I have a great circle of influence of people that I know love me and that I love. And I know I know I can count on them.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I know they can count on me.
Yeah.
My circle today is the
Yeah.
most important thing in my life.
Yeah.
It's so important. But I had to earn that.
Yeah.
I had to show up.
Yeah. You didn't deserve it. You earned it.
I earned it. I had to grow up.
Yeah.
And even today, you know, I'm human just like everybody else. I have things happen in my life that make me uncomfortable. And I have a whole handful of people that I get to bounce that off of. Yeah. And for them to tell me, Dave, you're being a child. Stop for a second. Look at the story you're telling her. I got a conversation today with Lola in Denver, and we are best of friends. We've known each other for years. She grew up in Delancey. I raised her in Delancey Street.
Right.
And when she's going through something out there, she calls me. When I'm going through something, I call her. She goes, "Do you see the story you were telling yourself?" I said, "Yeah, I do. I do see it today."
Yeah.
Having the ability to listen to feedback.
Yeah.
And to be vulnerable enough to go, "Yeah, I fell short there."
Yeah. No, I love that.
It's the elixir.
Yeah. Yep.
It really is of life. Do you have enough humility to own how you're acting and how you're feeling and how you're responding to how you're feeling? When we can get to that point, holy cow, Todd.
Yeah.
God, it's so wonderful.
It's so wonderful. Dang, I love talking to you. I really do. I learn from you so much, more than you ever know. I look up to you more than you know. A lot of your teachings, I teach my own clients to this very day because of you. I learned this from you. I'd rather be respected by one person than liked by 100, right? Feedback is your best friend.
Feedback is your best friend.
Right? Like, honestly, if you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
These so things, and they've really stuck to me. When A helps B, A gets better.
Mm-hmm.
All these little things that have really helped me in my life, I now share that, and it's because of you.
Oh,
I just want you to know that. Like, I do listen to you.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I actually listen to you, Dave.
Yeah.
No, you're one of a kind, man, and I just think your story just is so needed out there because for the very reason so many people, I think the culture just doesn't take accountability anymore on anything.
You do a lot of public speaking too.
Yeah.
You're a public speaker. I'm not a public speaker. I'm just willing to speak in public. There's a difference. And I never aspired to be a public speaker, but I get so many opportunities to speak to groups of 10 or groups of 1,000. right? And they asked me to come, and many, like I'll be in Chicago here, and when I get back from Ireland, and it's the McDonald's headquarters in Chicago, and there's going to be about 50 high-ranking executives in the McDonald's team from Saudi Arabia, Norway, Japan, from around the world that I get to go speak to on accountability.
Dang.
And I thought, how does this happen? Because this people want to hear this message.
Yeah, they're starving for it.
They want to hear it. Now, whether or not they can apply it is another conversation altogether.
Right, yeah.
But I'm so lucky today and so fortunate to be asked to do something that I believe so fervently about and so passionately about.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I don't get paid to do any of them. Oftentimes the organizations will make a donation to the Other Side Academy, but I don't accept payment for them. And the vast majority of the ones I do for free, and I would do all of them for free. Yeah. I want to deliver this message. I want to add value to people's lives. I want to have an impact in a positive way rather than the first 38 years of my life in a negative way. And I've said it before, I think I said it on my TED Talk, that I spent the first half of my life killing people, and I want to spend the rest of it helping them live, whatever that looks like. And I never saw this coming 10 years ago when we started the Academy. Yeah. But man, what a blessed life I have to be able to share a message that saved my life in the hopes that it saves others.
Jeez. Yeah. Again, what a turnaround. Like you said, you never saw yourself doing these things.
Mercy and grace. I'm 21 years into what would have been the 22-year prison sentence. I should have been in prison today.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know you.
Right.
None of us would right now.
I don't even know I'd be alive. I don't know if you
may not have
what
made
happened.
It. Yeah, who knows, right?
So grace and mercy played a huge part in my life. The best day of my life was that high-speed chase that ended the way that it did, with an ass whooping. Right? The best, I used to think it was the worst day. It was the best day of my life. That ended that chapter. I hadn't even started writing the new one yet. It was being written for me, right? Through the courts. But
wow,
man, am I just fortunate to be alive and to be able to sit here and have these conversations.
Yeah.
Right? And to be able to do the work that we're doing.
So what do you do to kind of keep your, you do speaking events, you're speaking, like we said here today, you're doing this podcast, you're being pulled in 1,000 different directions. How do you keep yourself centered, like outside of all the busyness, if you will, because you are a busy man, and I know you love sharing the message, you're very passionate about it, but how do you kind of keep yourself, I guess, grounded, maybe the word, and where do you find your relaxation and centered?
I get up every morning religiously at 3:45 to 4 o'clock. The alarm is set for 4, but I'm usually up at 3:45, and then I just roll out of bed and kiss my wife, goodbye in the morning. And that's Monday through Friday. When she's off work, sometimes I'll sleep until 5. And I get up and I go across the street to my office, and I sit down and have a cup of coffee, and I start writing down the things that need to accomplish that day. And I talk to a student or two that might be up early, and I go to the gym, and I spend about 60 to 90 minutes, a lot of cardio. I can't do a lot of weight training right now because of the shoulder, but I do a lot of cardio. And that's my one-on-one time with me, my one-on-one time with my higher power. That's my time to reflect, listen to some music, and really think things through. Yeah. And I ask myself the question, where can I do more? Where am I falling short? Right? And then I want to be honest with myself. And if you practice that every day, you get really good at being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Because the hardest person in the world to lie to is you.
Yeah.
Some people say it's the easiest. It's the hardest one to lie to because you know when you're lying to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So I've practiced doing that, and I just want to get better. And oftentimes, I get done with that workout, I go home, I shower, I get dressed, I'm back to work before most people are out of bed, right? And then I have conversations with staff, right? And I was sharing with you earlier, the retention rate at my organization, right, at the Other Side Academy, at our organization, is really high, because I'll ask my staff, right, where I can do better, how can I serve you better, where am I falling short?
Yeah.
And just being able to have those conversations and being humble enough to let people tell you if they need to tell you something, right?
Yeah.
Or to get better. And then just having enough self-awareness, right, to know when I need to break away, when I need some time.
Gotcha.
Need to jump on a motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
Because I haven't taken a day off work, Todd, in months.
Wow.
But I don't feel like I have a job, because what I do isn't a job. To me, it's a mission, it's a calling.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love.
Lives,
Right. So, are we going to Ireland in a few days for a week? Yes. So I'll have some time off there. But I'm going to be with colleagues. We're all work colleagues, so we're going to be talking about work the whole time.
Yeah,
So is it really time off? Just the conversations will be in a mansion or a castle rather than at the facility. But the point I'm making is just, I think it's really important that people can be honest with themselves about where they're falling short and what they need to do. I don't require a lot of, when I say self-care, I guess I've built it into my life with gym time or maybe going to a football game or maybe jumping on my bike and going for a ride. That's my self-care, but I'm not really super intentional. Like today, from this time to this time, I have self-care. I need to spend, I'm just not wired like that.
Yeah.
Helping other people is self-care for me.
Sure.
When I sit down and I have a conversation, like one of the freshmen walked in this morning and sat down and goes, Dave, can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah, come on, shut the door. He goes, I went through something yesterday. I was having a hard day and they said, you need to go talk to Dave. Having that 30-minute conversation and watching that guy's countenance change, you tell me a self-care thing you can do that makes you feel better than that 30 minutes did.
So true.
That is self-care.
That is.
Giving back and helping people is self-care.
Yeah. I love that.
So I don't know that there's something I do intentionally, right? Yeah. There are things I enjoy to do.
Yeah.
But I think just life in general, I just love life. And
well, based on that conversation you had with the freshman kid who was struggling, it reminded me of this statement that I heard from one of my clients here, and I put it to my memory because it was so profound, and I want to share it with you. And I may have told you this before, but he said it like this: I tried to find myself I could not see. I tried to find my God eluded me. I tried to find my brother, I found all three. Right? And that's really what you're saying is like in those moments of helping someone and watching their countenance change. And it's probably fair to say, that's you're connected to your higher power. You find who you are and you've just found your brother. You showed him like, hey, you got this. You can get through this, right?
That's it.
And there's no drug on the planet, like you just said, that can give you that feeling.
Yep.
Nothing. Not a thing. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, my life was changed by giving my money away at a lemonade stand of all places. Never saw that coming.
Right.
But giving to get my life back, never would have put those dots together.
And you gave it altruistically.
Absolutely.
Not
there was
knowing what you were
no
gonna get back. Yeah.
There was no cameras. There was no social media. I wasn't posting this. It was one of those moments it was one of those pivotal moments in my life.
And I think that I've been blessed with the ability, blessed is the best word I can use, to communicate with people who have gone through similar situations as myself. I've been very fortunate to be able to really get through to people on a heart-to-heart, human-to-human level. And I think over the years at Delancey Street and here, I realized that this is a real gift, right? It's like a baseball player. Not everybody can hit the 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Yeah. It's like Tiger Woods. Not everybody can hit the golf ball the way he could. Yeah. Everybody has a gift. Can you find yours? And if your gift happens to be a gift that allows you to bless other people's lives, and you don't use it, wow. And I'm not saying I'm gifted. I'm just saying I've been blessed with the ability. I've been blessed with the ability and fortunate enough to be able to do this. Yeah. And in spite of my own personal flaws and maybe shortcomings at times, right? That it's not out of lack of trying and wanting to make a difference, right?
For sure.
So I just think that, if in our lives we're able to bless other people's lives and you have a gift at doing that, man, hone that gift.
Reminds me of another quote, if you don't mind. Pablo Picasso says, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose in life is to give it away.
That's it.
And that's really what you do. That is your life, Dave.
He said it much more eloquently than I just did.
No, I like your way better, actually, but I just reminded me of that. But you really do have a gift, and we're all blessed because of it, and my life included, on so many levels. I want to maybe end with this question, and I usually do this every time. If there's someone listening to you right now, they're in the throes of addiction, criminal behavior, they're stuck, they don't know what to do, but they're listening to Dave right now on this podcast, and they're lost. What would you tell that one person right now?
Ask for help. You alone can do it, but you can't do it alone. I couldn't do it alone. Yeah. I was dying. Yeah. Every day that I lived in my addiction, I was dying. I was getting a day closer, a moment closer. It wasn't till I asked for help that I was able to change my life. As long as you still have a pulse and you are still alive, there's hope. I don't care how you feel.
Yeah.
I don't give an F how you feel. If you have a pulse and you are breathing, there's still hope.
Yeah.
But if you don't ask for help and do something different, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Find somebody you trust, find an organization you trust, and ask for help. Make the conscious decision to do something else. If I can change after 27 years of hardcore drug addiction and all those prison terms and the lifestyle I was living, if I can change, then so can you.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's a fly flying around.
So can you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're alive and you're listening, right? You're alive and you're listening for a reason right now.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to hear that message.
Yeah.
There's hope.
Well said, Dave. Well said. You're the best.
No,
You really are.
I'm standing on your shoulders, right?
I don't know. I think it's the other way around. Well, I know I know we're both blessed that we have each other in our lives, and I know we support each other. That means a lot. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for being on the show once again. I could have you on every week. Honestly, it would be so cool, but you don't have time for that.
I would make it.
I know you would.
We'll do it at 2 in the morning if we have to.
If someone wants to learn more about the Other Side Academy and maybe learn more about you, what's the best way to do that?
TheOtherSideAcademy.com, or just Google The Other Side Academy Salt Lake, The Other Side Academy Denver. Call us if you have a loved one or a friend or a family member or yourself and you need help. We are completely free. We're minimum 30 months long. The beauty of the model is you can stay as long as you need to.
Yeah.
Nobody has to leave on a particular day because we don't take any government money.
Yeah.
So if you need help, ask.
Yeah.
We've interviewed people all over the country, and oftentimes we'll foot the bill to get you to our facility.
Wow.
To help save a life.
Says a lot about you guys. You and Joseph, man. Joseph's shout out to him for making this all happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, love you, brother.
Love you too.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. What a great episode, right? Please share this with your family and friends. If you have a loved one who's struggling, a loved one who's doing drugs, and you don't know how to communicate with them, let them, give them a link to this episode. Let them listen to Dave, and that will open their eyes, open their ears, open their heart, and it gives you a chance to hopefully break through that wall and get them some help. So please do that. I know you guys will because you do. Thanks to my sponsors. I couldn't do this without you. I love you guys so much. Thanks for believing in me. And Dave, thanks for just being a light in this world that needs it so bad. So thank you for doing what you do.
You're welcome, Todd. Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.